guys, e-bike review day, and I've got a really cool one for you today. It's the Nox Helium Enduro 7.1. Had this bike for a couple of weeks. People keep asking me what it is, and I say it's a Nox, and everyone goes, yeah, but who makes it? And I go, well, Nox does. I guess it's a brand not many people have heard of. Made in Austria, I guess you call it a boutique brand. High-end bikes made by hand in just small numbers. I think it looks pretty mean though. Electrify New Zealand gave me this bike for a couple of weeks to review. I will tell you the spec, although I believe the model they're going to bring in will be completely different spec to this. It'll actually be a higher spec, but it's got some pretty nice things on it. Some Zebs on the front, DT Swiss wheels, Magura brakes, RockShox Deluxe coil on the rear, and a GX Eagle drivetrain. It's a pretty nice bike. What is it? It's a 180 travel front and back coil. It's a mullet, 64.1 degree head angle. So this is just from listening to the numbers, you think this is a downhill beast of a shredding machine. So what makes this thing different? Well, I'll meet you around the front and I'll show you. Okay, if I click this little lever here, I can take this out, and you think, well, that's not that surprising, it's the battery, right? Well, that's the battery. It's only 252 watts, a bit small, we might have to talk about that. But it's also got a small motor. It's got the Fazua Drive 50 motor. In fact, there's no motor in the bottom bracket at all. The drive unit comes from here, so you can literally remove the whole thing. In fact, I'll show you something also cool. This thing here, this is your lunch container. You put your lunch in there. Well, it's not quite like that, but it's basically a hollow tube. Put it back in place, simple as that. It does have a lock on the other side. You say, well, that's not that clever. But the one thing I really like about this is you don't have to have the key to take it in and out. You can lock it, but you don't need the key. If you leave it unlocked, you can just take it in and out as you want. And to charge this bike, you do need to take this out. So yeah, not having the key is good. Okay, so the Fazua 50 motor, I say it's a small motor. If you guys know me, and I'm going to stand up because I think my back's starting to kill me, if I could make my perfect bike, it'd probably be 200 Newton meters, 2000 watt hour battery, 300 mil travel, a gearbox, and unlimited speed. So little battery, little motor, is that going to suit me? I'm not sure, but it does seem to be becoming very popular at the moment. A lot of the bikes are coming out like this. I guess the idea is the bike feels very much like a normal mountain bike with that little bit of extra assistance. How much does it weigh? Because everyone wants to know that. I'm not 100% certain of this, but I know I saw Rob rides EMTB. He said his was a bit under 20. I think this is definitely over 20 kgs, but it is a really light 180 travel e-bike. The questions I guess we have for today, and I've got lots of questions. One, can I ride this thing up a steep hill and not throw my toys out of the cot? Two, can I get a decent ride out of a 252 watt hour battery? Three, how does it handle down the steep gnarly stuff and also jumping? I really want to try this thing jumping. And I guess if I get time, I'd really be interested to take this out altogether and do a run and see what it feels like to ride without a battery or a motor. Got a terrible memory, so if I forget any of those things, just put your hand up through the video and just remind me. But otherwise, let's take this thing out for the forest and check out all those things. All right, well, I guess it's time to take this thing for a ride. Now, as you can see on the handlebar, we have a little wee controller here. Basically, you can go up the mode. It's got 3 different modes on this thing. It's got breeze, river, and rocket. Isn't that cute? A bit of a different from everybody else. No displays. If you want to know more information, it links to your phone. It's a very minimalist type of bike. The phone, you can tune this bike to a great deal, I believe. So haven't done that. I don't think Electrify New Zealand wanted me to play too much with the settings, but yeah, the minimalist kind of bike. Now, sorry for the puffing, have had COVID and really still struggling with shortness of breath. So anyway, this will be a good test for this bike. All right, let's start with a bit of a flow trail. Oh, she jumps well. Interestingly, when I first rode this bike, I put it in the rocket setting and obviously noticed it had less power,
but I've kind of got used to it, and I'm actually riding quite a bit now in the middle setting, the river setting. So I guess if you know when you get an e-bike and you put it in eco and you first get it and you think, wow, this is amazing, and then you slowly go up through the power modes, and then you go back to eco and you think, wow, that's terrible. And it's kind of a little bit the same with these lower power bikes. You jump on them and you do notice they've got less power, but I've ridden this quite a bit now and I've just become acclimatized to it, so I'm not even riding it in the full power. Now, many of you won't have heard of Fazua, or certainly not familiar with it, but you may be familiar with another small German company called Porsche. And Porsche are now 100% owners of Fazua, and they know a thing or two about motors, and obviously getting into the electric motors in their car, and they're obviously getting really into this e-bike thing. So yeah, it's kind of cool to have a bike with a Porsche motor, and really I think Fazua may be the one to watch in the future with what Porsche is going to bring to the table. Nice quiet bike, this one. You really hardly even hear the motor. But yeah, doesn't take a lot to pedal when you go over the 32k limit, which doesn't take much to do. Now, interestingly, when I got this bike, I can't find anywhere on this bike the size of it. So I did some measurements and compared with the website, and this is actually a medium bike, and it only has a 4.37 reach. So it must make it about the shortest bike that I've ridden. The funny thing is though, is I really like it. And if you've been watching my reviews lately, the bikes that I've really loved, I've always said are too small for me, and then I've said how much I enjoyed riding them. So maybe I don't need as big a bikes as I think I need. Comes in two sizes anyway. I think the larger's got a 4.66 reach, I think. All right, let's try the steep, eh? Let's test this thing out. Oh yeah, soak it up, bit of a jump. Where? Oh, it does just seem to, whoa, soak everything up, this bike. I guess it's got a lot of travel, you kind of expect that. Oh, nice. Oh, I'm just loving it, eh? Just seems to just take it. That rough chatter just seems to flow over it, and it's pretty lumpy, this track. Yeah, you can see how much bumps in this thing. Whew, that is great fun. Bit more, why not? What do we got here? Bit of a drop. And then down here, it is rough as guts. Look at the bike bounce. Soaks it up. Woo!
All right, well, so far so good. This thing really shreds well downhill. The question is, can I get it up this hill? This track is called Stitch Up. The locals call it something else that rhymes with stitch and starts with B. So it's a decent steep track. So anyway, not that I'm going to make excuses, but I have had COVID and I'm struggling to breathe a little bit and coughing a lot, and I wasn't fit to start with, so it's going to be a test. Can this thing get me up the hill in my current condition? Anyway, I guess we've got to start, eh?
Okay, so a bit of a steep, tricky climb. Of course, on the GoPro, it'll look like I'm riding on a flat road, of course, but it is actually quite steep. And as you can hear, I'm puffing already. Flattens out a bit over here. Catch my breath back. All right, so she's going uphill now. Now, if you're riding this thing, will you notice it is less powerful than an 85 Newton meter bike? And the answer is simply yes. Yes, you will notice that. It is less powerful. But again, a lot of people like the idea of the smaller motor, a bit less power, doing a bit more of the work yourself. And you can hear I am puffing. One thing I do think is funny with e-bikes, I had some comments saying that people on full fat e-bikes are lazy. And I just think the irony of that is so funny, that you've got someone on an e-bike like this who's taking the moral high ground and calling other people lazy because they've got a bigger motor. I just think that's kind of ironic, but it's very much horses for courses. These bikes with the less power and the lighter weight are becoming very popular, and I can see why, especially if you don't have COVID. Saying that, we're tuning up, we're getting up here nicely. Now this thing has a secret weapon that I haven't shown you yet. If you press the top button and hold it down, it flashes and it gives you a boost of power for, I don't know, about 10 seconds or something. And so you can kind of, when it gets a bit gnarly, actually just boost the power. And that's pretty cool, and then it just goes back to normal how it was. I might use it as a steep bit coming up. I might use it up there. Okay, there's a steep bit up here. Of course, it won't look it on the cameras, but it is pretty steep. Lots of tree roots. Decided not to use boost mode. Gonna see if I can just get up normal, pedaling my way up. Normal steam bike just came up through and stalled up there, so it is quite hard to get up. But anyway, we're up, no worries. Gonna see if I can just get up normal, pedaling my way up. Normal, pedaling my way up. Normal steam bike just came up through and stalled up there, so it is quite... Alright, well, made it to the top of Stitch Up. Actually, for Mr. Wheezy, that wasn't too bad. So, have used the gears and ride it more like a normal bike rather than just, you know, using raw power. But yeah, I guess if you want a bike that actually rides a bit like a bike with a bit of assistance, then that's what it is. Alright, jump track time. Now I can already tell you this thing can jump because I've spent most of my time jumping it, because it is ridiculously good fun to jump. You can get loads of height. Very light and playful. Straight off the drop. Loads of speed, hit the big line. Oh, sails over. Just feels really nice and playful. Hit the hip. Loads of height. Pump uphill. It's actually quite big jumps, these ones, but again, just send it. Whoa, went huge on that. Okay, this one, no brakes. Oh, that's perfect. I'll take that. All right, we're going to try out the Nox on Aviator. It's kind of a big boy track here. Some big consequences for getting it wrong. Pops really nice, this bike, just straight up on there, straight off, up in the air, down we go, and then a big jump. Yahoo! Woo! Alright, not sure if I'm going to put this idea in the kind of bad idea category, but I did say at the start of the video that I was going to do it. So let's take the motor out. There we go. Let's take that out. So what happens if we ride without it and we put this in instead? Have I got that around the right way? There we go. That's back in. And one of the things about this bike is when you buy it, they give you the option of a second battery. So I'm going to put this battery in my backpack and ride up the hill with no motor and come down with a battery in my bag. Sounds really stupid, right? They do say you should take the weight from as low as possible and put it as high as possible. Reality is, if you're 100 kgs and you become 101.5 kgs, not going to make much of a difference. So anyway, going to see, hopefully,
Yeah, that just drops in there. Yeah, feels nothing. Anyway, we'll give that a try.
Okay, this is officially my first e-bike review where I've taken the battery and the motor out and gone for a ride on it voluntarily anyway. So I guess, to be honest, it feels like riding a normal bike, which is not something that I do very much these days. If it hasn't got a motor, I normally don't want to ride it. Certainly not unless I'm on a chairlift. But hey, it rides. It's a bike. Be interesting to see what it feels like coming down the hill. Alright, so we've got to grind it up the hill. It's funny, I was talking before about how you acclimatise to how much power you've got. And if you're a regular viewer of the channel, we went down to Queenstown, we took our normal steam bikes, and when I first got on it, oh, it felt terrible. I just missed the motor. But by the end of the week, again, completely used to just riding on my normal power again. And yeah, haven't ridden uphill for a while on a normal bike, but this just feels like a normal bike. So although I'm whinging and complaining, it's just the same for all these guys up here. But there's certainly, the good thing is because I don't have a motor in there, there's no resistance to me pedaling. So effectively, it's not like you've got to turn the motor over, you're just turning the cranks over like any other bike. Alright, starting to get a little bit steep up here. Again, it's just a bike. It's actually reasonably pedal efficient. Obviously it's a big bike. I've actually locked the rear shock out just to make it a bit more efficient climbing. If you guys could just remind me at the top to unlock it, that's the thing. But yeah, we're nearly there. I must admit, I've done on my normal bike, on my normal e-bike, I think I've done 20 laps of this track before. But yeah, if you didn't have a motor, yeah, there's no way I'm doing 20. Alright, so as you can see, absolutely no power. Can't say I enjoyed that, but nice bit of pop. But as I say, no worse than a normal bike, and definitely better than every other e-bike I've ever tried to ride without a motor. Oh, sails over. And honestly, in all honesty, I cannot feel the fact that I've got the battery in my backpack. I am used to carrying lots of cameras, so I guess I'm kind of used to it. Saying that, with this bike, oh, nice. Yeah, boy. And again, woo! Bump it. Yeah, oh, that was the best one, yeah. Thing is, if I had a motor, I'd go up and do that again. That was so much fun, but I'm not pedaling up again. I'm going home. As I say, this bike doesn't have room for a water bottle, so I guess if you're doing a long ride, you're gonna have to carry some water. I guess you can always carry the second battery.
Alrighty, so let's answer some of those questions for you. Question number one, can I ride up a hill without throwing my toys out the cot? I believe, according to the website, 58 Newton meters, not a problem, tick, okay. Can I get a decent ride out of a 252 watt hour battery? That one's a little bit trickier. Did several rides on this in full rocket mode, 20 k's fairly consistently. Not a bad ride, but not a huge one. I did do something else just recently. I took this thing out and did a whole ride in the breeze mode. It wasn't entirely a breeze, certainly was a workout, but managed 36 k's. You don't believe me? There'll probably be a map up there somewhere showing you that I did actually do 36 k's on this thing. So not a bad ride. You can get, let's just say, if I bought this bike, I'd take the second battery option. You can either ride with it. I did ride with it in my backpack, and to be honest, didn't really notice the small weight there. Either that or you leave it in your car and you swap around at lunchtime if you're in a bike park. Talking of bike parks, Dad's Army planning to go to Whistler again next year. Really excited about that. The only problem we have is what bike to take. Now this would be the perfect bike to take. Ship the batteries ahead, take this on the plane, ride it in the bike park, no motor, no battery, and then slap it in there, head off to Squamish, do some rock slabs. What's not to love? So that'll be pretty cool. The other thing is, question number 3, I think it was, what is this thing like on the tech, the steep, and the jumps? This is one of the best e-bikes I've actually ridden for that. Certainly the techie stuff just rocketed through the rough stuff. If you watched a previous video I made with Zach following me down, just couldn't stay on my tail on the rough stuff. So this was really cool. Also really jumped really well, nice and playful, felt really natural for me. So that was pretty cool. Also, I think the final question was, could you ride it as a normal bike? I did. I don't know that I'd want to, unless again I was being shuttled in a bike park, but I don't want to ride a normal bike at the best of times. So really enjoyed this bike. It's coming to say, I think Electrify New Zealand are going to be bringing them into New Zealand either later this year or beginning of next year. I think it's coming with a fancier spec on it. Got no idea of the price at this stage, but keep an eye on the website. If you're from overseas, I love you guys. Check out the Nox website and find your local retailer. Anyway, but a pretty cool bike and a very interesting one. So anyway, if you haven't subscribed to the videos, really be stoked if you did that. Really looking forward to your comments. Far away, let me know what you think, and I'll try and answer as much as I can. And anyway, we'll see you on the next one.